Ferenc Puskás from Hungary came to Chilean football to Colo-Colo. He arrived not as a player but as a manager.
No jugar, a dirigir.
76.
No, a dirigir.
There's a Eastern European prior to Mirko Josic.
Coach mío.
Colo-Colo.
Sí.
And he managed him.
You?
Yeah. Puskás failed in Chilean football at Colo-Colo. He was unable to express his football ideas to the playing squad. He didn't have a successful managerial career. May he rest in peace. Lovely man. Probably the playing squad didn't expect a manager who was, so social. Not to say unprofessional, but just more carefree. He had a very good time. Yeah, it was surprising because upon entering the hotel, you were offered drinks. He'd have vodka. That didn't send the right signal to him. And this is before a match.
Right, we are here in very sunny Santiago. I'm here with Augusto Sarmiento, who is one of the stars who has taken Chile to its first ever World Cup. It's been a hell of a story to get to this point, to the fact that you're looking forward to the World Cup. You've obviously got an injury that you're dealing with, which we'll get into, but can I just bring you back to that moment when you beat the United States to qualify for the World Cup? How did you feel?
Wow, it was a really incredible moment, I have to say. For us, when I remember the moment when R9 kicked the ball out, the whistle, the ref whistled the last minute of the game, and we was just looking around like we really beat USA, we really won, and the question was, we really qualified to World Cup, and of course was just joy, cheers, and was like trying to wake up from a dream who started like 4 years ago, when we commit with this project, with this dream, and we reached them. And even I can say after a month later of that game, I start to figure it out like, wow, we really qualified for a World Cup, the first time ever, and it's, for me, it's an honor.
It took a full month for it to sink in?
Yeah, I have to say it, yeah. Even I remember my wife also, and my family always tell me like, hey, what's gonna happen when you go to World Cup? And I was like, wow, I'm going to World Cup. Like, I can even imagine if I go back, like, 20 years ago when I started playing rugby at 10, it was not even in my head that moment or that dream, So it was hard to process in a good way, of course. And everyone on the team was the same, I think. We was celebrating, and everyone trying to contain our tears.
Yeah.
No one can really cry because the emotion of the moment. And I remember I called my family, and when they answered the call, I see their faces crying, and that was the moment I started crying like a baby, and I realized what really we commit.
How much of a focus was the qualification of the World Cup in all those years leading up to 2022? Was it the be-all and the end-all, or were you focusing on different things, and all of a sudden this was just a byproduct of all your efforts?
It was, how you say, was the end of all. Yeah. We put it that in like the main goal. We have to reach that. Every step we make since that moment we start to the process, to the qualify, to the South American tournament. In the middle was the South American tournament, like we're playing now with Selnam and everything. We knew that it's gonna be our process to reach that goal. Yeah.
It's quite remarkable, and one of the things that you said there a moment ago was that even as a little boy you couldn't dream of Chile being in the World Cup, because how could you, because Chile weren't in the World Cup. It's something that I'm quite interested in, the people who do something for the first time. So you guys are the first people from Chile to have got to the World Cup. So how does that happen without a defined inspiration, without having heroes of your childhood who did play in a World Cup? How does that change without having the inspiration?
That changed a lot, our mentality even. Our coach Paulo Lemoine, when he came to Chile, he sit us everyone on a table and speak to us, and his project was like not a big project in a structure or whatever, but he says, I want you guys be the best national team in history. Are you in? And everyone on that table say, yeah, we're in. You know. So with that commitment, we start to working. You know.
What did it involve being in? How difficult was it to be in?
Yeah, it was difficult. It was really difficult. That means waking up every day at 5 a.m. to be training at 6 a.m. every morning, Sunday in under the sun, under the winter, under the snow, under the rain, every day for around 3 years. That means be outside of our families, left behind our studies, our works, our girlfriends or wherever you have in that moment, and put everything to the other side and focus on this world.
Was that difficult for some people?
Yeah, very difficult, very difficult. The rugby is not part of the common life here in Chile. The rugby is growing up like in high speed, I have to say, but you can say like commonly coming from the best place of the city, coming from the best schools with origins in British colonies, you know. They have the rugby. So my school wasn't have rugby, and just a friend of mine who invited me.
Okay, very good. Before that, what were you playing?
Football, of course.
What position did you play in football? You're a second row, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I always thought to myself, second rows, it must be pretty difficult for them to play football. You know, maybe they're just too big to play football. So where did you play in football?
I used to play like midfield center.
Okay.
Or sometimes in the defense, back to defense. Yeah.
Any good?
Yeah. I can say I was good at that moment.
Yeah.
So of course now if you give me a ball, I probably kick it in. Whatever.
After how long did you realize that this was going to become a potential, livelihood for you? And I don't mean that in the way, a 10-year-old picking up a rugby ball. I mean that in the sense of being a Chilean rugby player, because those opportunities weren't there for somebody who was 20 or 30 years older than you. You're kind of the first generation who obviously are professional. Your job is with regards to rugby. You're the first person who could actually dream of making rugby your life. So when did that happen for you? When did you think that was going to become a reality?
I have to say, I realized it when I was quite older, like 24, 25 years
really?
old. Yeah, for if you look countries where rugby is the main sport, you realize that when you are 18, 19 years old, even younger. And now in Chile, how you say, we are the first generation. We starting to think, and now we are living as a rugby players, professional rugby players. I figured out at 25, 24 when I have the opportunity to went to Spain to play. They offered me a contract there in the Spanish league, and I didn't realize before, like just like dreams or playing in my mind, like I would love to play, go outside to play, but never like a real situation.
Yeah.
was was quite like a surprise for me.
I want to talk to you one last thing. It's just about where we are today. We're in the Prince of Wales club here in Santiago. A lovely building, very interesting interior. You know, you got Winston Churchill up on the wall. You got lots of fight for England signs up here. But I guess it is a reality of the culture in Chile, is that, you know, the British immigrants to Chile, you know, whether it's English or Scots, have brought quite a lot and have instilled a culture of rugby that I guess right now is actually coming to fruition a small bit, right?
Yeah. For me, it's an honor to be part of this club. You know, I don't have like my ancestors are not British. I just play in this club. I started playing when I was 10 years old, so I've been here like the most time of my life. And it's quite an honor because this is one of the first club of rugby here in Chile. You know, even we have the honor, how I told you before, like even the foundings of this club, the first stone was put in from the Prince of Wales in that moment in 1930s or something like that. And I feel really special, also because we have in this team the only 2 players from Chile who are in the Hall of Fame of the World Rugby. You know,
Ian Campbell is one, I guess.
Campbell,
yeah. And who's the other?
And his brother.
Of course, yeah.
You know,
what do you know about those players? Because they're the players that I not remember, but I know about as Chilean legends. Yeah. I have the honor to meet Ian Campbell and meet him in different situations around like this day of rugby. He used to be here, launching, have a good lunch, and then go to the field because some of his grandsons play on the team. So he always was involved in the rugby with us, you know, and it was a great honor to meet him. Okay, we were just talking before a few minutes ago about your father, about the amazing rugby player that he was, but I'm very interested in chatting to you about the person that he was and the memories that you have. What's the first thing you think about when I ask you about your father?
A very humble person, a great sense of humor, very a very complete person. He's a great sportsman, a great father. You see, I get nervous?
No, not at all. I do.
Anyway, a great, very good friend, great teacher.
Yeah.
He loved games. We used to play a lot of different games, cards.
Like what? Cards? What?
Cards, jigsaw puzzles, many other games. All the time, he used to take us out to the beach. He was a great. He was good at all sports: golf, rugby, football, cricket. He used to play cricket. He was in all the teams, all the first teams. But his loved rugby was the most important for him, and he was always there for us. Although he worked a lot, long days. He used to work out of Santiago, so he got home very late and all that. But the weekend was always with us, with all his kids, and just only good words for him. Absolutely. As a father. He was strict.
I can imagine.
Very strict, but they were together with my mother. They were, they managed to, with us the six of us.
What do people tell you about your dad? When they refer to him? I presume the sporting greatness is what comes up first.
I am always so proud of him. Everybody says, I'm not known for myself. I'm known for being his daughter, Ian Campbell's daughter. So you're Campbell. Oh, so you're Eoin Campbell. Yeah. Oh, he's the best rugby player, the best man. He was an all-rounder. Everybody loved him, and he was very funny. He had a great sense of humor, but he was always also very distinguido, distinguished. No sé, how do you say it? And everybody, it's Eoin Campbell, and even the young guys, Eoin Campbell is the best. So we are all very proud when we mention his name. Rugby is not only in Santiago. Now you can see rugby in the poorer areas of Santiago. Right. Not like before, it was only in these areas.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was Las Condes, Vitacura, and those schools. Now, in a few years from now, they've been introducing rugby to the poorer parts of Chile in general. So you can see people are playing rugby down south, up north, and in state schools as well, which is very good. And because rugby is such a great team sport. Builds up a great team. So we're really happy about that.
Can I ask you about Santiago? Because I've obviously read about him, and the thing that when I talk to people about him is that just such a wonderful, wonderful talent, and sort of God-given talent, and just somebody with huge potential. Can we talk about him a little bit? And what your memories are of first of all of that talent and the ceiling of his talents and his capabilities.
Santiago was like very similar to my dad. He had all the values. He was an all-rounder. He was always there to help. He was a team, a very good friend. And my dad used to love going to watch him play. He passed away about 6 or 7 months before the Selección de Chile de rugby were playing in South Africa. And so you still see that all his team mates have the number 15 on their shirts, which was his number, and they have include him in everywhere. They really love him, and he's always there. They name their kids under Santiago. You can see he was a lovely, lovely person.
Wow.
And he was my dad he was just like my dad, very similar. A lot of sense of humor too, great rugby player, other sports as well, good, excellent friend. Yeah. He was a beautiful boy, died at 19 in a horrible accident where my other nephew was driving. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it was, and he's the other rugby player. Both cousins were in the same car, and so one of them died and the other one's alive.
I didn't realize about the number 15 on the jersey.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful way to keep his memory alive.
Yeah.
It seems that sometimes tragedy hits a community, and a community, certainly like rugby, has a way of coming together, not making things, it's very, very hard to make anything easy, but maybe just something small makes things just a little bit easier, and today it's about celebrating his life, I presume. I don't know. It's
the time. They're all his mates all the time. It's incredible, really incredible. He's there. He's always there. In every tournament, they have a tournament under his name, Santiago Fuensalida tournament, every year in November, and with all the different ages, and So he's also a well-known name. He's always there.
Did the rugby community and their presence help at that moment of tragedy for the family? Was it? Do you remember the feeling of the community gathering around it at that point?
Oh yes, of course. Always. Till today. They're very close to my sister. All of them. They go and visit her. He's always present. Always. And he was 19 when he died. He would be now 34. And he's still there, present in all his friends, and whenever they're always there for the tournament, organizing the tournament, and every day. So, yeah.
There is an amazing way of keeping the memory alive of somebody, and the same goes for your father.
Yeah.
You've already told me off air this morning about May the 11th this year, and the wonderful tradition which I had never heard of before in the Prince of Wales Country Club. Can you tell me a little bit about what is going to happen?
Yeah, at the country club they have at the pub. It's like a big room, and they have one side of the wall. They have cartoons which have been made by a well-known cartoonist. Do you call it a cartoonist?
Yes.
Yeah, cartoonist. So there's one side of the room has the old goals, which is the team that my dad created, which is all the players that are not playing actually for the first and all that. I think it's over 35. So they have the ones that are alive, one of each. How did you call it? A frame, cuadro?
A portrait?
A portrait. So there's portraits of cartoons of each player on one side of the ones that are alive, and on the other side they have the ones that have died, had gone. So they have this ceremony where they change the people that have died this year. They change them over to the other wall, and they all the old goals get together on a Thursday night, which is their night at the club every Thursday, and they invite the family to be part of this, and they start telling about different stories about what they've lived in rugby, and how funny things about in this case my dad, and different experiences, and so it's a lot of fun. And then they take the portrait to the other side, and that's it. And in our case, my dad, the cartoon is about, it's my dad and my mom tackling him. So it's really fun. It's nice. It's and they're all so loving. Everybody. So it's gonna be full. I know. Everybody loves my dad. So that's one of the things that's gonna happen now. To be confirmed on the 11th of May.
I dare say your mother will enjoy that moment.
Yes.
It sounds like a great portrait. I must get a look of it. It's a remarkable story. I just want to say thank you so much for coming to meet me and being so sharing and educating me on your family. And
you're welcome. I'm glad that you as a young guy, you're interested in these very old rugby players.
No, I don't think I'm the only one. I think there's a great appreciation, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Chile in action in a World Cup this year for the first time.
I hope they get through. I hope they do something. Yeah.
I hope so too. I don't want to be biased. I'm a professional broadcaster, but I hope so too. Arlene, thank you so much. I really appreciate
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay, we are here at Club Deportivo Palestino. I am here with Tariq, who is part of the hierarchy at the club here. Tariq, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you to be doing this interview right now?
No, 0. No, I'm very happy.
Thank you very much for speaking to me. Can you tell me about your role here at the football club?
I'm the general manager here, and I see all the things that have to do with operations, and the sports things is with another man, but all the operations here is about me.
Can you tell me about your first memory of Club Deportivo Palestino and what that involved?
Like a child?
Yeah.
Well, I was born in a Arab family, so since I have memory, I'm next to Palestino. I played here as young, about I think 15, 16 years. I was 15 or 16 years, and I was here like 1 or 2 years, and always next to Palestino and the Arab family and all things. I also played in the Palestinian football team, national team, on 2003, 2004.
Okay.
2003, because the trip was because of the Olympics, Athens 2004.
Okay.
So if you ask me my first memory, I don't remember. It's always like me.
That's really interesting. So 2003, you play with the Palestinian national team. How many people who lived in Chile were on that team?
Almost 10 people.
Really?
Yeah.
So the majority, about half of the squad?
What?
About 50% of the squad?
Let's say 50%. I play with because the national players didn't allow to go outside of Palestine, so FIFA authorized that the federation look around all the world people who can play football well.
Yeah.
So they came here because the most of Palestinians out of Palestine is in Chile.
Right.
So from here we were 10 people. I think there was one Jordan, one Egypt, one.
Wow.
Everyone.
That is amazing. I did not know about this until right now. How proud were you when that happened?
No, it's my life. It's a dream. I travel around the world, around a few countries, and with the Palestinian flag, with this team that represent a country. It's undescriptible.
Yeah, I can imagine. And to this day, how important is a club like Palestino to your identity as somebody with Palestinian heritage, as a Palestinian?
For me personally, it's very important because my father was a football player. I have some uncles that played. I almost played. Finally, I went to the university. But if you mean, or if you say Palestino, or if you say football, it's the same for me. I always be next to Palestino and football always. I practiced some other sports like athleticism and swimming, but football is my life. I always remember.
The Palestinian community in Chile is about 300,000 people, I understand?
Think 500.
Okay.
Sí.
Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Is it a very close-knit community, or is there a percentage of people who they realise it's part of their heritage, but maybe they aren't so in touch with it. What is the landscape like here?
There's a community here in Chile. Is the here in Santiago is el Arab school, Colegio Árabe. It's a Palestine club. It's a social club in some other place here, and the community here is it's very big. So it's very difficult to be like one person, digamos.
Sure.
It's a very good community. It's very ingrained, and all Palestinians, I think all Palestinians feel this club like the second home.
It's very interesting because there are clubs. Well, there's certainly a couple of clubs in Ireland, for example, who would often have, Palestinian colours as a show of solidarity with Palestinians in the Middle East. In terms of your relationship with the Middle East, in terms of your I don't need to ask you what your view is on what's happening, but how closely, how do I put this? Like, how closely do you feel the plight of the people in the Middle East, the Palestinians in Palestine? How bad does it make you feel when you see what is happening to them on a daily basis, on a yearly basis? When it comes to the current situation, how does Chile and Palestine, the Palestinians in Chile and the land of Palestine, happen to interact?
We're always trying to help there in some different ways. I studied at the Arab school here, and the school trip was to Middle East. I went to Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Palestine, Egypt, and some people I felt this always also. Some people, when the first time that you enter to Palestine, they cry. I don't know why, and I felt like this when we were in Palestine. We were like 1 week, and it's like you've been living there always, and because of that trip, you have one idea that what's happening there always to the Palestinian, all the repression, all the oppression, all the bad things that they can't live there. So from here we always are trying to help there with money, medicines, schools, beca. ¿Cómo se dice? Beca? Beca? No? When you pay for someone to study.
Okay, like an educational grant.
Yeah. So here the community does that.
Okay, well, it seems like it's an absolutely phenomenal social tool that you have here,
but you have to be there to really feel what the Palestinians feel. You can imagine, but if you don't live there, or if you don't go to Palestine one time in your life, you don't really know.
I think that's a very, very good point. It's very, very hard to fully understand it. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And muchas gracias para hablar en inglés. No es fácil, entiendo mucho. So, muchas gracias. It is halftime here at the O'Higgins Stadium. We were about 40 minutes, sorry, not 40 minutes, we're about 2 hours south of Santiago, I want to say, but Alvaro here managed to get us here in a little bit under that time. We set out from Santiago at about 6 p.m. today. Your team, FC Palestino, were kicking off at 8 p.m. We just about made it. You don't miss many games, whether it's leaving work right on the button to try and get out of town. This club is a huge part of your life, right?
Yes, it's a big part of my life. My family, my grandfathers are from Palestine, and this is a team that represents Palestine. It's not only a football team in Chile. We say, and in the church also says that it's not a football team. It's not only a football team. It's a country. It's our history. It's our colors. Mm-hmm.
How important is that to the generation of Palestinians that live in Chile right now? You know, as you say, you're third generation in this country. How does your identity coincide with that of a Palestinian? It obviously is very, very strong. So can you talk to me a little bit about that, please?
For me and for many descendants of Palestine that are here, it's very, very important. It's like a tradition, as you have like food tradition of Palestine, as you have the language that we lost it here in Chile. The families don't speak, or a few families speak Arabic, but the team is like our tradition. It's like a tradition that has to go in time, and it's like an honor for us to see our flag, to see our colors, the colors of flag, like playing here in other country, far away of Palestine, and it's like huge. I told you the other day that here in Chile there is the biggest colony of Palestine outside Palestine and outside Middle East. Yes, and for that reason, like it's like all for us.
Yeah. It's really interesting because I've been learning quite a lot, trying to learn as much as I can while I've been here, and I was asking you as well, certainly about like the religious aspects to Palestinians that left around the time of your grandfather. It's not an entirely an Islamic culture down here either. It's totally different. The only reason I asked that question, to be honest, not that it's overly important, is just to do with Ramadan at the moment, and it was just a bit curious. But that's not necessarily the case.
No. Now, as I told you the other day, now in Palestine, like almost all the people are Muslims. But when the Palestine left the country in 19th century, in the initials of the 20th century, the people that came here and a few countries also in Latin America, the people were from Belén or Bethlehem and Bejala, and the people of that towns, they were almost all Catholics. So the people who migrate here to Chile, they are families, Catholic families. Now the families here in Chile don't practice the religion, but the origin is Catholics. Now, as I say you, almost all Palestine is Muslim. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting as well, because I guess what we've seen over for pretty much all of our lives really is just kind of an unfolding tragedy quite often in the state of Palestine, and quite a lot of people who want to try and lend their voice and lend their support to the atrocities that we've seen. One of those things that you've mentioned when we were driving down here today is a club like Celtic and what they've said and what they've done and the support that they've tried to show in any way possible.
Yes. It's like really important for us and really significant when we see like other teams of other countries and also teams that play here in Chile that you can see in the fans with maybe a flag of Palestine, and that support tells you that it's not only a Palestinian cause. It's like now a cause that impacts to other countries, other people that know the Palestinian cause and says like this is not good, this is bad, this is wrong, and that support is very important for us.
When it comes to the playing staff and the coaches, are most people here of a Palestinian connection?
In like the fans?
No, the players and coaches.
Yes. No. Nowadays it's like very difficult to find a Palestinian player or a descendant of Palestine in the first team or in the inferiors. How do you say in the reserves? In the reserves, yes. But the origin of the team, the professional team, if you want to play in the team, you have to have had a relationship or be Palestinian or descendant of Palestine. Then, when the team want to go to the first division and like being competitive, they open this to any players. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay, I've got a guy here who's on the other side of the camera for once. Josue is the communications manager. That's your correct title,
yes,
right?
That's my
communications manager for Club Deportivo Palestino. He's the guy who's going like this when you've been speaking for 5 or 10 minutes. So we'll see how many minutes we get out of you today, Josue.
I think 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Just 2 minutes.
The great thing is you get to stop this whenever you want.
Yeah. One question and we're ready.
The one question that I really enjoyed in my previous interview, which is one that I always ask myself about, sports teams that we love or important things in our life. The first time that you remembered that badge, Palestino Football Club, when was that for you? Do you remember?
I don't remember my age, but my history with Palestino is very special because my grandfather was president of Palestino in the 70s. Yes, he was the man that make one of the best teams that Palestino has in his history with Elias Figueroa. Elias Figueroa is one of the best players of Chilean football history. He played in Inter de Porto Alegre of Brazil, América de México, in a period of time that South American players won't go to Europe, for example. So when I was very kid, a little boy, all my family speak about Palestino, so my memories for Palestino are from a very lot of time ago.
So you would say that the 1970s was the golden era of the club?
Yes, because they won 2 national titles and 1 Chilean Cup. Mm-hmm. So of course the 1970s, 75, 77 and 78, Palestino won titles.
Okay. From the perspective of your grandfather, what are the sorts of things that you would have heard from that era? Because I guess it was quite an interesting time for Chilean football as a whole. You have the Chile hosting the World Cup the previous decade, and obviously into the 70s was a new era. So what did you learn from hearing your grandfather tell these stories?
I just learned that he put a lot of money in this club and he go off the club with no money. Palestino is very special because I think it's the only team in Chile that the directors, the president, the how do you say, junta directiva, yes? They are all fans of the team.
Yeah.
You see some other teams of Chile, like Colo-Colo, Universidad de Chile, the big teams, but there are a lot of people that only want to make money and they are not fan specific of the club. So that is very special with Palestino, and is that what my grandfather taught me about the 70s. All the people who work for the club were fans, so they were or they could do anything for see the club winning cups, and for they see the people be happy with what Palestino was doing in the field.
I wonder, is part of that as well because of the fact that this is a club that is so deeply rooted in a culture of Chile, that this is a club that represents the 500,000 people of Palestinian descent in this country. Does that make the bond tighter?
But I think also that Palestino represent a lot of people outside Chile. Yes, Palestino. I tell you, today, you be in the stadium, you see 500 people, very few people. But I think Palestino have more fans outside Chile than in Chile.
Really?
Yes, really. I see that in social media. Yes, a lot of comments of people from Mid East,
yeah,
from Mid East and from Europe, from other countries here in South America, also from Chile. But it's very special how Palestino impacts the lives outside Chile.
That's so interesting, because it makes so much sense. They want to be rooting for the people who unfortunately had to leave their homeland in whatever time it was, the 19th century, and unfortunately had to leave. But in a way, I guess I can make a comparison here between a lot of the Irish people who left Ireland to go to the United States, and you have things like the Boston Celtics or things like that, and it's like, okay, that band that's like really, really well supported in Ireland. This is similar, right? It's like that they see people unfortunately having to leave their homeland in the 1840s, 50s, and now they've made a life for themselves here, and they're having great sporting success.
And if you know Palestino, the Palestino born in 1920. And ONU talk about Israel in 1948. So Palestino is before that.
Yeah.
Yes, and a lot of people said Palestino is the club, or Palestino is an example of Palestina exists before ONU declared Israel like a nation.
Sure.
Yeah? So that's also very special about Palestino, and for that I think Palestino have a lot of popularity, not only in Chile, also in the whole world.
What is the I guess the story of most of the people? Like, for example, your heritage here. When did your family, do you know, when did they leave the Middle East to come here?
Like in the 40s. In the 40s. I don't know the exactly age. Sure. In the 40s, my grandmother was born in Palestine, and he came here. His husband dead in the war here, there in Palestine, and half of his family go to Chile, Argentina, and United States. Okay. That's the division, I think.
And pardon my ignorance here, because I don't know as much about it. Are the people who have emigrated from Palestine to settle here, are they of the Muslim faith mostly, or is it Christianity?
I have a very particular story with that, because my grandmother is Christian, okay. Yeah, like evangelic.
Okay.
And that's very special, because the evangelics talks about the whole nation Israel.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a very very complicated. But I think the most is like Catholics.
Okay.
Is the mostly of the Palestine that are in Chile now.
Okay, because I think Ramadan is ongoing right now as well, right?
But
so
here in Palestino we have fans of all religions and Muslims too. We have an, how do you say, auspiciador, like we have Bank of Palestine, we have Kaiser. How do you name that?
Sponsors.
Sponsors, of course. We have a sponsor that is Kaiser. Kaiser have sleeves for women. How do you say that?
The sleeves, underwear for
underwear.
Okay, right.
And Kaiser is one of our sponsors, and we have a big image of Kaiser with a man and a woman showing the underwear clothes. And a lot of Muslims fans were writing, "Oh, my eyes, please, delete that." And I'm sorry, this is the sponsor. They paid us, and I cannot. But Palestino has a lot of fans here in Chile, in the whole world, and of all religions: Catholics, Muslim, Christian, etc.
Sure, I totally get that. One of the other things I was wondering is about the players then, because obviously modern football is maybe not for FC Palestino, but for a lot of clubs it's about money. How much can you spend on the best players? Are most players who come here, are they interested, or do they have a connection to the community of Palestinian people here, or is the playing squad a bit separate from that?
Yes, and I think before they came to Palestino, they don't know a lot of the culture of Palestine, the history, but when they sing here in Palestino, they day by day are learning more from the history. But it's very special that all of the directors of Palestino, the people who lead the club, all of them are Palestinians. So I think they experience the word by word of day with the players. That is an impulse, I don't know how to say, to the players to learn more of the culture and the history of Palestine.
How proud are you that you have your culture on a badge and you have this fantastic sports club built up around your entire, not your entire identity, but a bit of your identity?
No, very proud. And you note that when the people of the whole world write you in social medias, they tell Palestino. You know, we went to Brazil 2 weeks ago. We lost 4-0, and the people were, "Oh, Palestino, very nice club." So seeing the people of other teams, of other countries, telling that words to you is very proud for us working and being here day by day.
Fantastic. Well, it's been an absolute privilege for me to be here today, Josue. Hopefully I can get to a Copa Sudamericana game on Tuesday next week, I think it is, and meet some other people. Congratulations on some of your fantastic work here, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, and the best for you.